The birthday people. Thank you. Here's 3 and here's 4. Thank you very much. All right, yeah, I've just had to resort to regular calf for the minute. No, 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 that's fine, thank you. Mr. Who? Bruce, he's there, just coming in the door. Yeah, but I had COVID, another person had COVID, so we had to cancel. Okay, but it's on the agenda. Wow.
Charlotte, Charlotte, you said AF, right?
Last call for raffle tickets. Get your raffle tickets. Big pot, $1,700.
I'm here all week, but I've had an extra day to do that.
Do you want me to yell out to you? Announce. Bobby! I haven't seen him yet.
It's 12:15. It's now time to start the actual meeting itself. We've got our food. We've enjoyed our company, and we have Cedro Hanunkonu, who's going to give us the pledge and introduce us to the song. Cedro.
Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. And the song.
Cedro is with Insurance and Risk Management. He's with New York Life, and he graduated from Pima Community College, which is fabulous. He's been with us since September the 28th. Thanks, Gary, for playing the music. That was lovely. Next week we're doing Chopin. He's guaranteed it, but given there is no next week, I'm going to take that with a grain of salt, Gary. Okay. Now, just to let you all know that Cindy Godwin, one of our long-term members, has been ill, has been in hospital, may still be in hospital. And so send her your best thoughts, prayers, and wishes, and a card is coming around. So please sign it. I know she'll feel fabulous knowing we're all thinking about her. And now we have the inspiration from Jeff Ronstadt. Cheer, Jeff. He's been with us since August 2006. He's in insurance and risk management with Ronstadt Insurance.
Good on you, mate.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I understand I have 2 minutes, and I plan on using every second of it. So, tell me when you're ready. Please join me in a moment of reflection and thanks with these words. With our friends beside us and no person beneath us, with the bonds of Rotary between us and our worries behind us, with our goals before us and no task beyond us, with a thirst for knowledge and a dream of a polio-free world, we are thankful for our Rotary friends and the meal we are about to share. Thank you.
Fabulous. I think there's a good song about things being behind us, before us, and in front of us. And I'm being pointed at. I'm not quite sure why I'm being pointed at. Is that Jan? I can't quite see. Is that Jan? He's hidden behind John. Jan Wong. Yeah, that's great. Jan Green. Oh, that's terrific. Yeah, nice to see you. Nice to see you indeed. We now have Dan Calm, Insurance and Risk Management. He's with State Farm. He's been with us since 2020, and he's going to introduce the guests.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Well, welcome to the last meeting, formal meeting of 2023, on into January, and ready for sweater weather with it being 80 degrees. I would like to point out that Gary wore a sweater at 80 degrees. If you're a guest, welcome. Thank you to the past presidents for doing the greeter line today. We have a wonderful organization, and if you're a guest and you're considering looking for somewhere to be and something to do, I can find not a greater bunch of people than these folks. So feel free to ask us all questions about being a member if you are a guest, and we would love to have you. So if I say your name, would you please stand and let us recognize you? Guest of Brittany Battle, Nakia Johnson. Guest of Mitch Pisak, Coyote Erickson. Guest of Jim Wood, Lisa Stanton. Guest of Jan Green, Deirdre Middleton. Oh, she went to get food, okay. Guest of Steve Pickering, Thomas Gomez. Thomas? Guest of Thomas Robertson, Zach Tavel. All right, guest of Nina Trasoff, Jen Allen. Jen? And last but not least, guest of Alan Rogers, Mike Levin. Mike? Welcome all.
Thanks very much, Dan. And to all the guests, serious welcome. Love having you here. And all those looking in virtually as well. Thank you for being with us. Now it's time for our program, going to be introduced by Diana Medeiros. She's been with us since June 2021. Art and design, she's an artist. We all know Medeiros Gallery. And she was at Douglas College and the U of A. So, Diana, but you're first going to announce the November Service Project winner.
Yes.
Thank you, Margaret. The November Service Project winner is Tom Willis. And I know Tom's not here today, but he had 6 points. And just a reminder, you can only win the monthly prize once, so it's wide open for December. And then everyone wants to turn in, you want to turn in all your service points because it's cumulative and it will be really important at the end of the year. So all you people who rang bells, raise your hands this weekend. Thank you for that. I saw some of you. My husband and I drove around and threw a few coins in the buckets. And thank you everybody for your service to Rotary. So for the program, we all agree, I'm sure, that San Xavier Mission is one of Tucson's treasures. Father Kino founded the Catholic mission in 1692, and the church was finished in 1797. So the white dove of the desert has survived 226 years in our harsh southwest environment. It's not surprising that it now needs some serious restoration. Preserving and restoring this mission, which was added to the National Registry of Historic Places in 1966, has been the goal and mission of the Patronato San Xavier for the past 30 years. I first want to introduce my guest, Chuck Albanese. He's sitting over here. How many of you in the room know Chuck?
Oh, no, of him.
Yeah, it's like half the people here. He helped pull this program together for us. He's a retired architect, and he's a fine art painter. And he was on the board of the Patronato for 14 years, 4 of which he served as president. And he still serves on the Conservation Committee. He's also my mentor. He forced me to go to Greece on a painting trip for a month. I know. 30 years ago. And that's when I realized I wanted to be a professional artist, and I changed careers, and it literally changed my life. So I'm deeply indebted to Chuck. But back to the Patronato. Clyde Van Slyke III is a native Tucsonian. He received his law degree from U of A, but he went to Phoenix to practice for 40 years. And he's serving as a second-generation Patronato, following in the footsteps of his father, who was a founding member. And he's also a docent at the mission, and he's responsible for training many, many other docents. So he knows a lot about the mission. Miles Green calls being executive director of the Patronato his dream job. Not today. Today it's their largest fundraiser tonight, and he was kind enough to still come today. He traveled extensively, and he first fell in love with the mission when he was in his 20s, when he visited Tucson. And he has dedicated his career to preserving the iconic mission. And in his spare time, he does a lot of cycling and hiking, and he still enjoys traveling to exotic places. and creating great food in 30 minutes or less. So after you get through this, you can come to my house. And we want to see that. So please welcome Clague and Miles.
Well, thank you for inviting us. It's a topic that is near and dear to both our hearts. It's something that we've devoted a lot of time and energy to, and I am certainly gratified to see Chuck here. Chuck has been a guiding light in the conservation work that we've been doing with the Patronato for so many years. So I'm the second generation member of the Patronato. My father devoted many years of his life towards the conservation and preservation efforts. I've served on the board for about 10 years. But one of the things that I did was serve as a docent education coordinator and study to be a docent. And so I would like to give a plug. Our docent tours have started up again. Most mornings of the week, there's like, I think 4 tours a day. Right now we're in the busy season. I always say to people, it's great if you have friends or relatives who come to Tucson who want to know more about San Xavier, have them come and take one of our tours, because that's the way the pressure's off you to try to explain what's happening there. And the docents do a fantastic job. So in preparing for the talk, I've been speaking about San Xavier for many, many years. My guided tour at San Xavier would probably run about 75 minutes. My talk is about 2 hours with like 170 PowerPoint slides. But I understand, I see the hook, I hear the horns, I've got like 10 minutes to talk. So preparing for the talk, I've toured people, thousands of people from all over the world to San Xavier. Interestingly enough, it's mostly people from other places. I probably tour more people from Phoenix coming down to see San Xavier than they do from Tucson. And I think it's something that we have this treasure in our backyard that we've, to some extent, taken for granted. And so instead of talking in great detail about the history, I just want to talk a bit about why San Xavier is significant. From the historical perspective, I think we all know, because of the geography of this area, the Santa Cruz River, the reliable water source, this valley has been a crossroad for human civilization going back 12, 15,000 years. People have been migrating and moving through this valley. We know that people have been practicing agriculture along the Santa Cruz River for 4,000 to 5,000 years. People have actually been in Tucson continuously longer than any other city in the United States. Prior to the arrival of the Spanish, this is Bypriotum, river people, Acmela Autumn, lived and farmed and developed a thriving culture in the Santa Cruz Valley well before the arrival of the Spanish. So when I think about San Xavier, we look at the big, beautiful white church that sits there today. And the church, the reason it's so big and tall and beautiful and white is that the fathers who built the church built it to be a beacon to draw people here. And so what I think, and the reason that I think San Xavier is significant, it is a beacon for that. It is a place where cultures have come together, all the cultures that have shaped the border regions that we know today. And in fact, when the World Monuments Fund picked San Xavier as one of the 50 buildings in the world most deserving of conservation back in 2016, it's more because of the culture than the art and the architecture. Those are fantastic, but that's just part of the story. So the story is we have the Bypriotum living here. The Santa Cruz River is the border between the Apache culture, the Autumn culture. We've got the Yaqui culture to the south. And it's into this world that Father Kino is invited. And I think that's one of the important distinctions. I have a lot of people coming to San Xavier expecting to hear a story of conquest and bloodshed and battles and destruction of cultures and replacing of cultures. That's not the story of San Xavier. The Autumn knew, and they've heard of this great man, Father Kino, who was coming up from the south. They went to find him and invite him to the place that is now the village of Oahu, where San Xavier is located today. So he was brought in, and he came here with the understanding that he was the guest of the people here, and that the only way that he could convert people to the Christian faith was to bring it in a manner that they could understand it, speak their language. He met with the leaders of the Autumn community, which was a very collaborative meeting. And it began this long process of this development of the culture that we know today. And so when he arrived in the late 1600s, we go into the 1700s, there was a very light touch between the Spanish and the Autumn in this area. And it was one of collaboration, it was one of cooperation. And then eventually the church gets built later in the 1700s. At that point, there really wasn't a big presence by the Spanish as the Spanish Empire was bordering on the verge of collapse. There was really no strong military presence here. The military was off kind of below where New Mexico is today, dealing with the Apaches. The Autumn were allies to the most part with the Spanish, and the cultures began to blend together. The church gets started, and one of the things that you see the church today, the big, white, beautiful church, it's important to understand the church was never completed. It was left unfinished. They simply ran out of money, and then the Spanish Empire collapsed. And so for most of the 1800s, the church sits there in its incomplete form. The East Tower was never finished. It wasn't even stuccoed. There's art inside the church that was never completed. But what happens in the 1800s is as the church stands abandoned, we're now into the area of westward expansion, people moving out this way. For most of the 1800s, as the church sat abandoned, it was protected by the Autumn people. The reason San Xavier stands today, the church was built for the Autumn. The Autumn protected the church. The Autumn, it's a living church. The Autumn still worship in the church. But they protected the church for most of the 1800s and kept it intact. In fact, visitors in the 1830s, 40s would come through and say, there's the ruins of this great church. The birds are in there, but it's protected by the people who live there. And then once the United States took over and moved into this area, we had the Mexican Presidio. Many of the people from the Presidio stayed in Tucson, and they're the founding families of this region, the descendants of the Presidio. But what happened after that is they come in, and the Autumn are waiting for the arrival. They say, we knew you would come back. It turns out they had taken much of the artwork and statuary, reliquaries, religious items into their homes and held them waiting for the return of the church. And so when the fathers came back and church services were reinstituted, the Autumn continued to come back and worship it. But during this entire time, the church is subjected to the weather, to the wind, to the rain, to the snow, and is in a state of decay. And by the early 1900s, an early bishop, Father Grandjohn, started the first efforts to restore the church and stabilize it to keep it from collapsing. There were efforts to do some work on the church during this period of time that were best efforts for the time. And then the Patronato got involved and began the actual conservation of the church itself. But that's the one thing I just want anyone to take away who's come to see this church, is this understanding that it's not a symbol of conquest, it's not a symbol of battle, it's not a battlefield, but an active living church where these multiple cultures, both the Autumn culture, which still resides in the village of Walk today, the Mexican culture replacing the Spanish culture, who still, in many days, you go like to the Saturday night mass, so many people come up from Mexico. This is still kind of the mother church of the Sonora, Mexico. And then, of course, the Anglos as they come together. So many things that we take for granted that make southern Arizona, the border regions, unique and special are shaped by that beacon in the desert, which is San Xavier. And so when you go in today, you take your tours, you see the beautiful artwork, we can explain the details, we can explain all the facets of the church. But that's the one thing I want you to take away, whether you come for a tour or actually you come to sit and reflect. It's a very deep spiritual place. It's something I've found from people who I've given tours to, regardless of faith, regardless of culture, regardless of where in the world they've come from. They feel that feeling. There's something about that building. And even to the Autumn, even those who don't follow the Catholic faith say there's Autumn spirits that reside in that, and you can feel that. I gave a tour once, and a man came in whose career has been photographing missions related to St. Francis of Assisi. I mean, that's been his life document. And he said even before walking the church, you could feel that San Xavier is different. And I'm sure you've all felt that feeling as you've attended. So is my time up, or am I really close to being out of time?
It depends if he's talking as well.
Okay, well, I'm going to introduce Miles Green as our executive director, and he will talk about where we're going from here. the work that we've done and what the next phases are. And I'd love to have you come out and see the mission with us. I'd love to give you a tour, and I'd love to talk with you afterwards about the mission.
So, Clague had mentioned, I must say I'm really in awe today because I've given talks to Rotary before and it's been me and 12 people in a room. So if I look just a little overwhelmed, it's because I am. Clague had mentioned Bishop Grandjon, who is the second bishop of Tucson. He actually came here with a large family fortune and he chose to spend it on the first restoration efforts at the mission. And it's due to Grandjon that we see the mission pretty much as we understand it today. As Clague said, prior to that, the East Tower from really that first balcony up was completely unsheathed with plaster, so it was raw adobe that you would see. He was also responsible for building the wall that runs down north and south, which we call the Grandjon era wing, and then the large California mission revival style gate across the back, which of course in this day and age would never have been allowed on an historic property. So when we look at the mission, we're actually looking at buildings from 4 distinct historic eras, all of them considered nationally relevant in terms of historic periods. So although Patronato was initially tasked with conserving and preserving the original church building, we are now looking at expanding our brief to undertaking work on the Convento wing, which really dates to the 19th century, and then the Grandjon era wing, which was completed in the first decade of the 20th century. So at the time that Patronato was formed in about 1978, it was a legacy group of people who had silently been interested in preservation work at the mission and had sort of formed a loose confederation and were spending money privately funding projects. In '78, there was a decision made to actually incorporate because there was fear that as the city of Tucson expanded south, that the statue, my gosh, the hook is falling and I'm in trouble already. As the city was expanding, there was a concern that the height of the buildings, the new buildings merging into the area would impact the beautiful visuals that you have of the mission, still very much standing on its own as you drive along I-19 south, standing clear and proud in the midst of the desert environment. So the initial formation of the Patronato was really to bring about controlling the environment, but also there was a decision made to try and work on a broader conservation plan. And so they brought in experts to do what they thought would be the most important process, which would be conserving the artwork in the interior of the mission, which of course had had 200 years of bats, guano, candle grease, candle smoke, and so much of the imagery in the mission was really not visible to the naked eye, but just because the surfaces were so incredibly dirty. But in fact, as they were gearing up to do that campaign, plaster started falling from the interior of the West Transit, great shards of plaster. And so there was a realization that work that had been taken place in the 1950s, where Portland cement had been added to the plaster mixes, was actually damaging the integrity of the building. So that saw us move into a very aggressive phase that went on for almost 3 decades, removing all of the cement-based plasters using Portland cement and replacing with a traditional lime coating that was the original coating that was used on the mission. And it's that coating that allows the mission to, well, Bob Vind, our architect, talks in terms of breathing, that the semi-permeable membrane allows any water that's trapped inside the building to sort of be breathed out. And so that was a really important piece that needed to happen before the work on the artwork inside. So that major work on the artwork was delayed, but began in about 1992. You might recall that a team from Europe was brought in to do the first conservation, working in about 3-month batches across 7 different years. And that saw the first major exposure of the artwork, and so it created the environment that you see today when you go out to the mission. But there's been multiple projects that have been spinning off in the last decade. We've recently entered into an agreement with the University of Pennsylvania to do a major revision of the Conservation Management Plan, and through that we've been able to prioritize projects and to get a clearer perspective on what it will take to finish the work at the mission. And that includes the work on the supplementary buildings. We've had projects working on interior conservation, the woodwork inside the mission, all of which is original. We're doing major work on the bells, and just running through some of these. Here is the European team that came in to work on the interior, scaffolding going up to work on the altar in 2015. We've recently just done a major project this spring where we brought in a team of conservators to do the second major conservation on this area of the church up in the high dome. And that was a project that we've brought in additional conservators in order to be able to manage it quickly. I'm looking at this time. Does that tell me 12 minutes? Oh, then I'm fine here. I mentioned bells. We've been very fortunate that we have on our board a major conservator, Dr. Nancy Odegaard, who's seen specific projects, realizing that all of the bells that hang at the mission were original, and at least one of them probably cast on site, so they date back as long as the mission, 225 years. And we've just recently, under her direction, conserved all of the bells on the mission project. And as well, our conservation activities extend to working on all of the statuary within the mission. And here you see the statue of the Immaculate Mary, which sits on the high altar, being conserved back in 2018. To give you some sense, these projects typically run between 20 and 40,000 apiece. The work extended to doing a complete conservation on the original altar rails. And when this project was scoped, the initial sense from some members of the board was that the railings were so badly damaged that maybe we should just replace them. But in fact, the conservator team overruled that and said, no, we believe we can take them back. So a lot of termite damage was treated and controlled, and epoxies were used to rebuild in sensitive areas. And after removing much shellac and varnish that had been applied to the railings, we were able to discover that when the railings were initially installed, they had been painted the same color of the altars, and so we've been able to really reestablish that look. And of course, the other piece that we're working on now is all of the original doors to the mission. We know that they were built by artisans that probably came in from the Querétaro area of Mexico, probably using apprentices to do some of the work, but all of this material is original. And we're now gearing up for the last major campaign on the historic church, which is conservation of the facade, which is the ornate decorative area that you see here. And I should say, when the building was first finished back in, or almost finished back in 1797, the facade was actually highly colored. In fact, some historians said, you know, if the Franciscans had had access to neon, they would have had it here. But in fact, what it was highly decorated with paints, probably in 4 different colors, blended to create much more impact. And so we're currently working on plans to redo this. We won't be restoring the paint because we don't have enough original material to know exactly where it was applied, but it may be in some time within the next decade you can go to the mission at night and we'll be projecting onto it our best guesses of what that facade might have looked like when it was first built. So I mentioned that we're working on 4 historic areas, and this is an overview. But I want to turn my attention to the fact that we have a mission that's way more than a working church for the people that Clague described. Visit Tucson describes the mission as an anchor attraction, and by that they mean people actually come into our area specifically to visit the mission. And when they do so, they get beds in hotels, they go to restaurants, they shop, and so the mission is actually giving back to the community in a hugely important way. It's one of three entities within the valley that is considered an anchor attraction. I guess you can think of the other two. There's a museum, and actually it's the Pima Air Museum. So, you know, looking through the lens of an entity that's not only an historic and important part of our community, but actually something that's bringing back, I want to draw to your attention that the Patronato across the last 4 decades of existence has actually seen a huge decline in the support from our business community. Going back in the records, it was clear that about 20% of our income was derived from major support from our local entities, the banks, the mines, and other things, hotels. But in fact, now it accounts for less than 3% of our income. And so looking at that, we're now looking to define what we're calling the last decade of deferred maintenance. It's all of those major projects that still remain to be done. We've tasked that at about a $7 million price tag. And once that's done, we're actually building an endowment that will take care of maintenance ongoing. That endowment is already funding the first of our on-the-site employees of the Patronato, a young woman who trained with us as a conservative 6 years, who's now the liaison between mission maintenance and the conservation work. She's monitoring a range of conditions at the mission and helping us to sort of develop priorities and scopes of work. But in the new year, I was wanting to talk about a program that we're beginning to roll out that's aimed at really inviting our business community to make a finite commitment with us to join as a partner as we really hone in on what we're seeing as this final phase of conservation work at the mission. So if you get an envelope like this popping through your business mailbox, don't throw it away, please. Take the time to rip it open and find an opportunity to become a partner with the Patronato. As I say, this is a finite commitment. We're looking at a 5-year, let's get this done, let's say mission accomplished. Are you honing in?
I am.
How many minutes?
Well, I'm wanting time for questions.
Okay. Well, you know, Bob Vint, the architect who's worked on the mission project for almost 3 decades, often finishes the slide project this way, so I'm going to do the same. You know, India has its Taj Mahal. We have the mission San Xavier. Don't laugh, it's serious. And of course, Italy has the Sistine Chapel, and we have the magnificent interiors of Mission San Xavier. And now you can close me down.
Wow.
We have people at the ready with microphones, and while we're waiting for the first question, might I say something to Miles that people say to me all the time? Oh, I love that accent. Where are you from? Go for it, Dan.
Hi, thank you for coming. And all the Catholic churches, for whatever reason, are not doing Easter and Christmas services on Sunday morning. But guess what place does have those services? San Xavier. So I've been going out there for those services. Thank you.
It's not a question, but I will say that this is one of the few parishes within the state that's still under the auspices of the Franciscan friars, who were the second group to actually come here. They came during the 1770s, and it was the Franciscans who were responsible for building the church, but that's another story. Yes?
Yeah, I've been going out to San Xavier since the early 60s, and we actually remember going into the church and finding what a terrible condition it was in. The smoke, they even told a story one time about how the soldiers early on were camping inside the church and building fires.
Yeah, the 49ers as they crossed the state were oftentimes shot.
If you haven't had a chance to get out there and see it, I really recommend it. We've been going there for years. And by the way, one side thing you haven't mentioned, I wish you would. Tonight is the first night of your. I
was trying to forget.
It is one of the most inspiring concerts I think you'll ever want to hear. Purely, almost a cappella. They have a 2 or 3 piece orchestra playing, but it is really an inspiring move to have it here. All that beautiful singing going on in the church.
Yeah, we call it Patronado's Christmas at San Xavier.
Yeah.
We're bringing in almost
Very good.
100 performers. It's the Tucson Girls Chorus, the Tucson Boys Choir, and singing in unison.
They can get it virtually if they want.
Oh, and it is available virtually. If you give a donation of any amount between now and December 31st, you get the link sent to you, which is a combination of 3 filmings that we did across the COVID era when we were unable to do the live event, and it's pretty magical.
Over here?
Hey, Miles.
Hey.
Is the San Xavier the only church that Father Kino built?
Well, he didn't build churches particularly. Father Kino kind of probably preached under a model, kind of like the cellars use outside of the mission. Within the chain, however, he did establish 23 missions, or visitas, which were like sub-missions. And most of them are in Sonora, Mexico. But of course, the other one within our state is Tumacacori. And of course, we kind of call that the brown turkey, as opposed to the white desert.
Oh, that's not nice.
Well, it wasn't me, it was Paul Schwartzbaum who made that comment.
Quit it. No more questions? Oh, I'm totally surprised.
I was given that note.
Oh.
Give to you, and I can address this to the wider audience.
You speak.
I was given a note asking if we could arrange a private tour at San Xavier. And I think right now we're still in negotiations with the parish.
Actually, it's totally possible.
It's totally possible. Okay, now great. It's a work in progress. And so that's certainly a dialogue that we can continue, as we get back into what the new reality of what life has been. One of the problems we were so popular before the pandemic was that we were overwhelmed with unscheduled bus tours, people just pouring in from all over the world. But now we're getting back into the swing of things. So that's certainly just reach out to Miles, and we can coordinate with docents and get you into some places and explain things. But in the meantime, please come out and take one of our regularly scheduled tours.
Fabulous.
A couple of comments. One of our long-term members, Jim Norton, used to sing down at the church every Christmas time, which was wonderful, absolutely marvellous. And whenever I have guests from overseas, which you can understand is very common, we go down there. Not unscheduled bus tours, but I load them into my car. Alan, did you have a question about this? No, you've just got the microphone in advance. Okay. Now, just to let all of you know, and particularly our guests, that we put a book into our Make Way for Books library that Rotary continues to support. We support children's literacy in Tucson. Member and director David Lovett, who I couldn't see here, he's actually the president of Make Way for Books. But we will get you both to sign it, and then this will go into the library. Thank you. That's terrific. So thank you very, very much. And now we have happy birthdays. We seem to be missing one person, which is not all that bad. I mean, we miss him, but it means that we've got more time for others. We have Bobby Larson. He's been with us since December 06. He's in medical and healthcare, assisted living, the Villas assisted living, and he was from the U of A. And what he wants us to know about him is that with others, he's heading up retention of club members. If any of you want to join him in this important committee, please reach out to him.
Good afternoon, everyone. First, I want to start off with a check, for the annual fund. Second thing I wanted to bring up, myself and Angela Moore are also heading up the community food bank for the projects, and I got a chance to talk to 30 people on our project day, and all 30 signed up, but we need 40. So we didn't weren't able to get a hold of the other 10 people. So I have forms that I could give you that'll explain the whole thing, but we'll be boxing anywhere from 800 to 1,000 boxes for seniors, or over 2,000 boxes for families. So love to have 10. It's January 20th, which is a Saturday. It'll be 2 to 3 hours is all at the Community Food Bank, and it's great. We used to do this many years ago. Many of you probably remember, but it's really worth your time, I assure you. And finally, I wanted to add, my uncle was vice president of 3M, and he always gave this toast. And my dad took it over, and he, in our small town in Illinois, and then my brother took it over on any special occasion. So I thought this would be a fun special occasion for it. And if any of you know the words, please chime in. Glasses up, please. You come into this world all naked and bare. You go through this world with toil and care. You leave this world you know not where. But if you're a thoroughbred here, you're a thoroughbred there. You're here.
He just mentioned service projects, and I think I deserve praise. From what I understand, I'm the first volunteer to be fully accepted by TUSD as a reading coach. It's a process you go through, but this morning I heard, I am accepted. Yay! Jim Davenport, another birthday. His birthday is on December the 11th. He's in medical and healthcare, or was perhaps, looking particularly at making prosthetic devices from Cerritos College, New York University. Now, what you don't know about him, Jim was arrested and jailed for fishing without a license in the James River.
Well, I guess I have to tell the story, even if you don't want to hear it. But I lived in Richmond, Virginia at the time, and this game warden got me fishing without a license. I was with my son in the James River, and what happened was I did not appear in court to contest it or pay a fine. And it was a criminal court. And so they arrested me, took me to jail.
I can only hope it was a big fish you caught.
Nope. And I was in jail for about an hour. And the, whatever he was, magistrate, got me out and said, now, if you promise to appear in court, I'll let you go home. And I said, great, I promise. And I did. So anyhow, if you're interested, for my 86th birthday, my wife has already given me 2 gifts. The first gift is a set of hearing aids. And the second is a historic vehicle license for my car. So you're looking at a historic person here. Thank you. I have a check for the scholarship cups because I'm not here that often and I miss putting it in. So there's a good one.
Thank you for that.
And Gary Shear, who had the delight of being born on December the 25th. He was in retailing optical goods. He's retired from Alvanon Optical, and he was at the U of Colorado. Now he's 84 years old. He's been married for 63 years, and is a 45-year member of ARCOT. Gary, his wife Barbara, and daughters Susan and Stacia Decker, whom we all know, are all Paul Harris Fellows.
Thank you, Marty. Thank you all. Jim, I was in jail longer than you were. But I won't go there. I'd like to start by thanking my sponsors, Sherwood Burr, Dr. Sherwood Burr, and Kelly Hansen. And we all know that Kelly Hansen is Hugh Thompson's father-in-law. I get a lot of questions asking about Stacia Decker, my daughter, if she's coming back. She has good intentions of coming back eventually when her workload eases off. She's doing well as the family. I also get a lot of questions about Stacia's mother-in-law, Irene Decker. And Irene Decker, hasn't been with us for some time. She's home now at Fellowship Square. She loves it there. We make sure that she gets to all the family functions, and we enjoy picking her up and bringing her out as often as we can. I'd like to also get a glass of water here. I'd like to do a salute. If we could all do a salute to the present administration and all the past administrations, and especially all of the car show past and present chair people. So here's to a salute. There. Thank you, Margaret.
And now we have introduction of new members. If you'd like to come up onto the stage. Thanks, Mitch. We have Cedro Hunkanu and Faye Satan.
Okay, get ready to be jealous of me because I'm going to introduce two just amazing people. We want to keep expanding the quality and the interest of the people that we have, and we have two of them here. And I was reflecting upon both of them. A word that kind of comes up is resilient, okay, and I think you'll see that. So first of all, first is Cedro Hunkanu, okay, he's from Benin. It's a small country located in southwest Africa. It's an old French colony. That's why Cedro's first language actually is French. Prior to coming here, he got a degree in accounting, and then he won the DV lottery visa, and he came to America. Is that great? And but they only gave him 6 months to get here. Okay, and he did not come from a wealthy family. He had to figure it out, and the man did that. He got here in 2014. He was 22 years old. He didn't know anyone. He had to live with a stranger for a year, and the man did it. And he went to Pima Community College, and he got a degree. Is that great? And he also worked 4 jobs to send money back to his family. So he's a wonderful man. And by the way, he got the highest honors, Phi Theta Kappa, while he went to Pima. He then he wants to go to Eller College. He went to real estate school. He passed that within 2 months. He did that for a while, and he said, what he really wanted to do was be in insurance and financial industry. So he worked for New York Life Insurance. And I highly recommend that. I'm guessing half the people who want life insurance, he's the man to buy it from. All right? So I would like to proudly introduce you to Cedro Hunkanu.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm very happy to be here, and I'm glad to be part of this amazing club, and I look forward to becoming a better member. Thank you.
Okay, I know. You want me to introduce someone else, and I will. Okay. So I am so thrilled, again, quite sincerely, very much to introduce Faye Satan. I've actually had a chance to spend a fair amount of time with her. Part of it was at the whiskey event, just saying, okay. And we also spent some time also that. She's just terrific. She really is. A brief summary, she got an MBA, straight A's at Mercer University. And she's actually been in the States for only about 2.5 years at that time. So she's relatively new to Tucson. Just a fascinating background. Just a few highlights here. Avid traveler, exploring different cultures. She speaks fluent both English and Thai, which is where she's from. She loves hiking, camping, and scuba diving. All right, so try to keep up with her. And her new passion is pottery, as a matter of fact. So hopefully you can make something for each of us. Yeah, that would be great. I'm gonna quote what she wrote here. Volunteering has always been a big part of my life, and I'm generally grateful for the opportunity to join Rotary and continue to contribute in a meaningful way, working with the community, which is beautiful. Also, she was in Thai. I think you're one of only one of 20 people that from 2006 to 2015 was in Rotary in Thailand. That's now a member of us, so that's great. So we're really thrilled to have you. Allow me to introduce everyone to Faye Satan.
Thank you. Thank you, Mish, for the introduction. Well, first of all, I just want to take this opportunity to say thank you, everyone, for welcoming me into the club, and Mish for sponsoring me, as well as Jim Murphy for being my mentor. Like he said, volunteering has been a big part of my life. I watched my dad when I was growing up. He would do all the volunteer work, and I would help him with all the events at his Rotary Club. And it was inspiring. And it gave a lot of meaning to my own life. So I really can't tell you enough how happy I am and what this is meant to me to be able to join the club. So thank you.
One last thing. Fa is expert at marketing. Anyone needs any marketing assistance, you know where to find her.
So I had to laugh at that side comment. There's a Zoom thing on there, Lee. Before I forget, I am going to auction off if anybody would like another dessert or didn't have one. But I've been given permission to auction off this. Would anybody like to buy a dessert? What? $1? $5? Come on, $5. Come on, $5. It says happy birthday on it, and it's got fruit. Don't get too picky. Chocolate too. Oh, come on. I can see you. You're getting tempted. No, nobody's going to, no. $1. I've got 2 if anybody would like to offer another $1. And now we have a blue badge presentation. Bruce Tunzi. Bruce? No wonder I couldn't see you in the audience. You're waking in the wings.
Waiting in the wings, yes indeed. Good afternoon, everybody. I have with me Alec Behrens. And Alec has fulfilled all the requirements necessary to receive his blue badge. So let me tell you a little bit about Alec. He was born and raised in Tucson and returned after college in Atlanta and work in San Francisco. Since college has not been that long ago for Alec, let's start there. He graduated from Emory University in Atlanta with an undergraduate degree in mathematics and economics. After that, he became a chartered financial analyst, which, if any of you know, that's no small feat. That's a big deal. Before beginning, though, his investment career, Alec was sponsored by Bridgestone as a professional golfer. I've been fortunate enough to play golf once, I think, with Alec, and it's impressive to watch. So I will say, if you're a golfer, you want to get out there at some point with him. He now is a partner at BGK Capital here in Tucson. He founded that firm with 2 other individuals, and before that he was a director of investment research for another Arizona firm with over $300 billion in assets. So this guy knows what he's doing when it comes to finances. So I want to introduce Alec and present his blue badge, but one more thing before I do. One of the things that you might not know about him, he had to stop scuba diving for a decade after almost blowing out his left eardrum on a cave dive. So I have to get more details about that. Here you go. Thank you so much. I'll trade you. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. And I want to thank my sponsor, Steve Pickering, Bruce, obviously, for being a great mentor, but all of you, too, for welcoming all of us to the club. For any prospective members out there, I think when you volunteer, you get more out of it than you give, and I think that's the way this club is, too, because it's volunteer-based and just the type of people that are here, and it means a lot to be joining you guys, so thank you.
Wait. And now we have Dan, our Sergeant at Arms, again.
It's the raffle time, and there, I believe, are 25 cars left in the deck, so we're below half. Deck has been shuffled. Bobby? $499. 5. 9. All right, rowdy table, give me a drum roll. 9. 499, 599. Hey, Jonathan. Money. All right, here we go. How much money? $110. Well, there we go.
But the pot is actually what, 1,000?
The pot is over $1,900. 1,903.
Wow.
Fabulous. And now it's time for announcements. Now, I notice so many of us here wearing blue, and tonight is the first day of... Tomorrow, begins tomorrow, Hanukkah. Okay, so terrific. So please all remember that. Reds are here, blues are here. Hanukkah's coming. We have a banner to sign at the back, and that's sort of to give praise for the most recent car show. Please go and sign it on your way out. It'll look like that, and it'll look like that, but updated, obviously. So please sign your name. We have hardly any announcements, so I'm just going to note the December schedule. There we go. Next week is dark, despite the fact that we've got Bach playing, or Chopin. And then on the 21st, we've got the holiday mixer. And then we've got the Rotary offices closed, dark, holiday. First lunch meeting is January the 3rd here at TCC. Yeah, Walt, you mean you really want to speak?
I really do. 4th Avenue Street Fair is this weekend. Thank you guys so much for signing up for ticket sales. Saturday afternoon, we have space for more people, space and time for more people to come and do ticket sales for the car show. It's fun. Come, join us. Sign up. There was an email that Dave sent yesterday.
And Alan Rogers. Hey,
All
Alan.
right, I'm announcing the holiday replacement mixer. There is no meeting next week because it's the second Wednesday. The third Wednesday is the 20th. There will not be a meeting. Wednesday is hump day. It's sure happy it's Thursday. Thursday the 21st is the replacement holiday mixer. It's going to be at Brother John's. We've been there before. It's a great facility. Please register on Club Runner to indicate you're going to attend. Wear an ugly Christmas sweater.
Oh, no.
There, Bruce, you're perfect. All right, we'll see you there. So remember, it's Thursday, December 21st, 6 o'clock, Brother John on North Stone.
Thanks, Alan, and it's nice to see you here again. Glad you're well. Before I go into the standard thanks, I'm going to tell you a joke. Yeah. And also give you a little saying which I came across yesterday, which suits this time of year. Less gifts, more memories. Less busyness, more peace. Less stress, more joy. Less chaos, more calm. And less excess, more gratitude. So I thought that was particularly apt, and I had to bring that to us today. And then just before I stepped onto stage, one of you wonderful people stopped me and said they have a joke for me. So, can't go without a joke. What do you call a wreath of $100 bills? What do you call a wreath of $100 bills? Nobody got a guess? Aretha Franklin. Yeah, you give the man a dessert and he won't even charge him $1. All right. Can't go without some sort of joke, and that was a good one. Whoever it was that gave it to me, I can't see, but thank you. And all praise to people for having picked that one up, the answer, I mean. Now, thank you all for coming today, and thank you to our virtual guests for also joining us. I hope you enjoyed the meeting. I always love hearing about San Xavier, so I was thrilled to be here today. Welcome to all guests. If you fancy joining us, feel free to chat with any of us and we'll talk you through the process. It's a great place to be. If anyone would like to donate to our scholarship cups, please do so. They are the blue tin cups on the table, and thank you for doing so. Happy birthday to Ernie, who wasn't with us, but still we wish him all the best. To Bobby, to Jim, and to Gary. Welcome to Cedro and Far. Congratulations to Alec on your blue badge. And next week again, remember, do not come to this place. Every second Wednesday, we have numerous phone calls saying, where are you, where are you? We're not there. Go to Brother John's. I've thoroughly enjoyed myself when I've been there before. You have to register. So don't forget to register on the website. I hope you're all going to attend. And now, toast and adjourn, Jeff Ronstad. Oh, $1, thank you very much. Jeff is on his way up.
Okay, I'd like to dedicate this toast to Bruce Jacobs. So it goes, may the winds of fortune sail you. May you sail a gentle sea. May it always be the other guy who says, this drink's on me. Cheers.
Good on you. Mm-hmm. Today is over, and it's lovely to see you all. Thank you so much for coming.